Hello and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching, my name is Jordan and I'm a soon-to-be 2 under 2 mom, and today I wanted to talk baby names. So these are all the baby boy names that we have considered for baby number 2 that we will not be using. I will say we are 95 to 99% sure on the name that we are using. So most likely the names on this list we are not going to be using for this baby. And I feel like naming a baby boy, at least in our experience, that's all we've had to name was a baby boy, but it is so much harder to come up with baby boy names than it is names for baby girl. So these are names that we have considered, or at least I liked and my husband didn't, or vice versa, we will not be using for this baby. And I feel like our name style has a little bit of a Southern vibe to it, but not overly Southern, at least in my opinion. Maybe to you it is. So when we were trying to pick a name for baby number 2, I kind of wanted it to somewhat go with our first son's name, which is Jackson, and picking his name was one of the hardest things we had to do because we couldn't agree on names. There was names that I loved that my husband didn't, and names that he loved that I didn't. Jackson was one of the very few names that we could even agree on with our first pregnancy, and then when we found out again that we were having another boy, I was like, oh God, we're gonna have to come up with another boy name that we both agree on. So we have mostly settled on a name. I'm pretty sure, obviously it's not sure until we write it on the birth certificate, but 99% sure with the name that we're going with. I have a little list here of all the names that were top contenders but we didn't end up going with. The first name on our list, and I love this name. If I could, this would be baby number 2's name, but we just could not agree on it, and that is Beau. What we could not agree on was the spelling of it. So I prefer Beau, B-E-A-U, and my husband said if we were gonna name him Beau, he wanted it to be B-O. We did a thing where when we were considering names, if we go to a coffee shop or a restaurant, we'll use that name as the name for our order or our reservation, and this was a place that he typed it in and they called out our name, so we didn't even say it first, and they pronounced it Beau. So my husband immediately was like, nope, we can't do it. He's gonna get mispronounced. So he wanted to go with the standard spelling. I wanted to go with the B-E-A-U spelling. So because we couldn't agree on spelling, we decided not to go with that name, but I love that name. Next on our list is a name that I really liked, and my husband immediately just kind of shut it down. He did not like it. This is a very common, normal name, but I don't know why he just did not love it, and that is Mason. I felt like Mason and Jackson would kind of go very well together because they have similar endings, but my husband just could not get on board with it, so we unfortunately had to veto that name as well. And then another name that we both liked but just didn't feel right for this baby is the name Crew. So we both really like the name Crew, but I just feel like when we were tossing names around and kind of considering it, it never really stuck for some reason. And we also threw around the name Crew with our first son as well, so who knows, Crew may be a future baby's name because it just keeps popping up, but for this baby, Crew, not gonna be the name. Another name that surfaced for the first time with our first pregnancy and kind of resurfaced with this pregnancy is Weston. I love the name Weston. My husband did not. He could not get on board with Weston for whatever reason. So I keep bringing it up every pregnancy. Maybe one day we'll have a baby named Weston, but today is not that day. And then the next 2 names on our list we both really liked, but we know somebody with either this name as their first name or their last name. So I don't love picking a name of someone that we know fairly closely just because it feels like we're either copying that name. I know it's like names are names, we're not, but I just felt weird using names of someone that we know fairly well. So the first is Brooks. I love the name Brooks, and my name is Jordan and our first son's name is Jackson, so we kind of wanted to go with a B name because my husband's name is Blake, so if we could stick with the JB theme. So we had thrown around quite a few B names. Brooks is one that I love, but we have a fairly close family friend with the name Brooks and also another friend that just named their son Brooks, so I feel like it's a little overused, at least in our circle, but I love the name Brooks. And the next is actually the last name of one of my husband's best friends, and that is Grant. I love Grant as a first name, but it's my husband's best friend's last name, so it felt a little bit like we're almost naming the baby after him, which we're not, but I felt weird using it as our baby's name because we know someone with that name as their last name. And the last name on our list of baby names that we love but are not using is Baker. My husband is actually the one that threw this name out there, which I was a little surprised. I like the name, but it feels like we're naming the baby after Baker Mayfield, and I just cannot get past that for whatever reason. Those are all of the names that we love but will not be using most likely for this pregnancy. Let me know your top baby boy names in the comments below.